Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you for joining me for another amazing session of the Daily African Proverbs. My name is Simon Javan Okello. I am excited to be here with you all, on a Monday morning here in Seattle, Washington. And today we have an amazing proverb from Angola. And I'm anticipating that we are going to have an amazing guest later on for our session today. This is the Daily African Proverbs, which happens from Monday to Friday every single week. But in April, for the entire month, we are not going to be live streaming. So I just wanted to let you all know that early. I've been sharing this. I'm taking a vacation, a much needed vacation, after a long time. And we will still be bringing in other kinds of content, but not live. We will be bringing in blogs from previous conversations. We will be sharing, short form content across all social media platforms. But then we are coming back in May. And one of the highlights of the month of May is going to be Africa Day on May 25th, which is going to be a 24-hour digital marathon here on Clubhouse. We are going to really, make Africa proud. The way we did last year, we were able to host Africa Day for 24 good hours here on Clubhouse. So if you are just joining us for the first time, I do want to just thank Jewel for being with us on Clubhouse and on YouTube. And I want to add the link to the YouTube live stream on top of the Clubhouse room in just a moment before I share the proverb, the wonderful proverb from Angola that we are discussing today. So just give me 1 second. The proverb from Angola is beautiful, and it's similar to other proverbs that we've discussed here before, but this one is just so unique and special. So take a moment while you're here with me on Clubhouse, ping in 1 or 2 people into the room, and also I see that Joshua is on stage with us, Lavender is on stage with us, Steven, my brother Kinsey, it's been a while, I haven't seen you in a while. Take a moment, join us on stage so that we can hear your voice in a moment. There are a couple of lessons that I'm hoping we can learn from our conversation today, and there are three lessons. Number 1, not every battle is worth fighting. Number 2, consider the consequences of your actions. And then number 3, know when to walk away. So if you look at this proverb from Angola, it says the squirrel does not talk back to the elephant. The squirrel does not talk back to an elephant. And this proverb is really about knowing what your place is at any given time, and knowing what your power is at any given time, and knowing how you want to use your power at any given time, but also knowing, for example, last night during the Oscars, I did not watch the Oscars, but last night I was at a Senegalese dinner that was held here in Seattle, Washington, where I live, and I have been hosting African dinners as part of One Vibe Africa's, One Vibe Africa is a non-profit organization that I founded, and we host a dinner series known as the One Vibe African Dinner Experiences. And these have been happening since 2016. And last night we had one that was featuring a Senegalese chef whose name is Mamadou Diakate, and he made us really amazing Senegalese food. Little did I know that while we were enjoying the Senegalese meal, there was also a situation that was taking place, at the Oscars. I didn't know that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock until afterwards. Right before I went to bed is when I was going through the internet, going through some private groups that I'm a part of, and learning what had happened. And we had not planned for this proverb for today to be so aligned with what had just happened in the world yesterday. So I think the situation that took place can also be discussed around this proverb. When do you walk away, and when do you react? How do you determine that this battle is worth fighting? And then how do you consider the consequences of your actions? And then how do you walk away? I feel that for Will Smith, it was a battle that he felt that it's worth fighting right on the Oscars stage, because he's an intelligent man. He's a well accomplished man. He won the best actor yesterday, so he definitely thought that this is a battle, that this is the time for this battle, and it's worth it, and I'm willing to put in everything I have, every investment I have. This is the moment where I'm going to invest all my energy into this slap, just like Putin of Russia chose that, this is the time that I'm going to invade Ukraine, no matter what the West says, no matter what consequences, come with the action of invading Ukraine. It's going to happen. So know whether the battle that you're fighting is worth fighting at the time that you choose to fight it. And then consider the consequences of your action. For example, Will Smith, I heard that he was forced to make a public apology, and he's going to live with this for good. Chris Rock will never forget what happened. And most black men, most African men are going to be talking about this for a while. This is going to be a subject of discussion for a long time. Growing up in Kenya, slapping people was normal. It was not something that you even thought about. Fighting and injuring someone or chasing someone with a machete, that one is what was a little abnormal. But slapping someone, you'd see even parents slapping their children left, right, and center. So the consequences of your actions, once you do it, you can't undo it. Once you slap someone on a world stage like Will Smith did, he will always be, no matter what interview he goes to, first of all, people now know that if you get to a certain place where he is not comfortable with, he might end up slapping you. So people know him well. I think that is one of the consequences of the actions that he took yesterday. People know that if you mess with his family or people that he loves to a certain extent, he might end up responding with a good slap. And then the other thing is, the last thing that I want us to take away is, when do you walk away? When do you know that even though this is a fight that I should have actually fight, but I've fought it enough and maybe I need to walk away, or maybe before fighting it, I just want to walk away and be ready to fight better. Like Bob Marley said that he who he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day, So those are some of the comments I want to share initially during our conversation, and I want to pass it on to some of my guests and my friends who are speakers on Clubhouse. Before we do that, I want to urge you to remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel on YouTube. The link is at the top of the Clubhouse room. And I do want to just quickly recognize a few people who are already present there. I see M. Jewel, and I see a few other people, but they haven't made a comment, so I can't give them a shout out. But M. Jewel says, the proverb reminds me of children being kept in their place. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And now I want to come to you, Joshua. Thank you for being here with us today. I would love for you to just take a moment, share with us where you are joining us from, and your interpretation of this proverb, and also, why is it that we should not fight every battle? Thank you so much.
Family are in. I was talking to another artist about this. I think sometimes the more elevated you get, the more of a target you become, both for good and for bad. And one, it's just not good for yourself to fight every battle because you'll weary yourself. And even if there aren't any immediate consequences, one of the consequences is just that, I get distracted from what I'm supposed to do because now I'm too focused on what everyone else is saying and how I need to respond to people and all that. I mean, so yeah, when I see the proverb, the squirrel does not talk back to the elephant, the first thing I think about is, one, well, the elephant is much bigger, obviously, but then two, would the elephant really hear the squirrel? Can the elephant really hear, even if the squirrel is 100% correct, what good is it going to do to, what use is it to try and push back against the elephant? You can't move the elephant. Elephant has to decide to move himself. So there you have to, for me, it's telling me I have to be able to realize who needs to be able to move themselves, and who are the people that I'm actually supposed to engage with. Because sometimes you do need to fight, but I think, at least for me, most of the time, I actually don't. So thank you, Simon. I appreciate this proverb. It's really good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Joshua, for your perspective. And I just want to welcome Robin and Patty and Mamayama and Ejlal and Charles and Lavender. Feel free to join us on the stage so that we can hear your perspectives. I am anticipating a really special guest here later on during our conversation. So join us now, because once the guest joins us, I will focus on them for quite a bit of our conversation today. So Stephen, when you think about this proverb from Angola, it says that the squirrel does not talk back to the elephant. What comes to your mind? Share with us your thoughts and where you're joining us from, and also why is it that we should not fight every battle? Thank you so much. Okay, Steve might be away from his microphone, so we are going to continue on. If you're just joining us for the first time here for the Daily African Proverbs, this is an amazing show that I have been hosting since January 2021, and it's work that I'm very proud of. And I just can't explain to you how difficult it also is to pull this kind of work consistently. And so I just want you to take a moment, think about this proverb, and join us so that we can hear your perspective. In a moment, I will be joined by an amazing leader from Pacific Lutheran University here in Seattle. Her name is Melanie Cunningham. She's going to be my guest today. So stay put while I figure out how to bring her here. She went to a Zoom link that we had been using for other engagements, but in a moment we will be hearing from her. Dr. Paula Kahumbu, thank you so much for joining us. This is the Daily African Proverbs, and it's being recorded for the African Father in America podcast, which is available across all podcasting platforms. So, Patty, I see that you're here with us. How are you doing? I know that you're in Panama. How are things over there? And what are your thoughts when you think about this proverb?
Good morning, Simon. Yes, in a car on my way to the office in Panama Pacifico. It's a beautiful day. I am so glad I get in the back of the car and I see this pop up on my phone, Simon. And the first thing that came to my mind was know what battles to pick. I have definitely been at both sides of it. And yeah, I don't need to, some you just aren't, you gotta know when to cut bait and move on is kind of the way I look at it too. And I will fight to the death if needed, but why lose an unnecessary life over something that I could do something different about, if that makes any sense. So I think these proverbs are just amazing. They're so simple and they're so direct and so confusing to me all at the same time. So thank you for sharing these.
You're most welcome. Thank you for your presence and for your continued support for these sessions. I love African proverbs just because of that, the simplicity and also the depth of knowledge that comes from these simple words of wisdom. I just want to take a moment here to set up my guest before we begin our session. So bear with me. How are you doing, my dear? Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Wonderful. Thank you for waking up so early, for this session. It means a lot, It means a lot. So we are live already, and this is the Daily African Proverbs, and I've always wanted to have you as a guest for this show. So it's just beautiful that you're here, and we are discussing an African proverb. We do this Monday to Friday, where we pick a new African proverb and we talk about it. We get some African wisdom from it, and with the hope that when the session ends, everybody leaves with some wisdom that they can equip themselves with for the day. So today we are taking a virtual journey to Angola, and the proverb that we are discussing says, "The squirrel does not talk back to the elephant." And some of the takeaways from this proverb that I wrote before we started are, not every battle is worth fighting. And then the second one is, consider the consequences of your actions before you take those actions. And then the third one is, know when to walk away. And I was giving an example of last night's situation where Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and he had the option of fighting that battle. He had the option of walking away. He had the option of, he considered the actions that he took before he acted. I also gave the example of President Putin of Russia. He chose to invade Ukraine despite the consequences of those actions, and also the option of walking away, and not being involved in the battle, especially at this time in the history of the world. So, just knowing all the amazing work that you've been doing in the world, here in Seattle, in the US, in the diaspora, in Ghana, in Kenya, I just wanted you to take a stab at this proverb, share with us what comes to your mind when you think about it, and then from there we are going to just go a little deeper, and also we are going to talk about some of the work you do as the director of multicultural outreach and engagement at PLU, and after that we will talk about the African Communities Engagement Scholarship. So thank you again for being here. I'll pass you the mic.
Oh, wow. The squirrel doesn't talk back to the elephant. Is that
right.
it?
That's right.
Okay. Because sometimes, immediately I thought you could win the battle, but lose the war. That came to me because every fight just isn't one that you should jump into. You could just use your head. And I've seen that time and time again in my career. It's like, okay, especially over social justice, when we're talking about being in the human rights. And I've been in the human rights career field my entire life, and work life. So we're talking about at least 4.5 decades, 5 decades of actually working. And I think about the systems that I have encountered along the way that we're trying to dismantle and disrupt. And even in this world, it could, you could say that people of color in this American system are the squirrel. You could say that maybe. But then I like to think, as this squirrel, I could still figure out I might not need to go in the elephant's face at this point, but I sure can go under the elephant or around the elephant. I could stick something in the elephant's foot. I could do something too.
That's true.
The elephant isn't as flexible as I am. And so, as a squirrel, I could go fast. I could climb trees to the top. There's all kind of goodness in me as a squirrel. So, yeah, I would figure something out. But standing, and over the years, I've had to, right? So you stand there and you look at this big old system and you're thinking, they're not going to let me in the front door. But maybe I got to go through the window, or, what I mean? Go down to the basement and come up.
Totally. Because, this is now where creativity comes into play, right? Yeah. That's creativity comes into play. And also just trusting your instinct and knowing that you're not in this alone. You are in this with your ancestors and with the village, and even if no matter how big the elephant is, you can face the elephant, not directly, but somehow.
Oh, and you can call your people, like you said. I live in the Northwest. We enjoy so many squirrels. They're everywhere, and they got a lot of cousins. You understand? So it could be there's that one elephant, but you send out that cry and the whole community comes, so it really does matter how you look at it. And I would say that's also strategy. You really, really need to, don't be defeated by it. Just figure out how you're going to make it work. It's strategic.
I love that. So, Miss Melanie, I want you to take us back a little to one of the questions I ask all the guests for the African Father in America podcast is a childhood story that still inspires you today as a leader. For me, I remember when I was 8 years old, when my mother gave me a bicycle to help with distributing milk and bread in our neighborhood. And that story sticks in my mind, comes up for me whenever I'm facing any kind of challenge, whenever I'm faced with any new thing, whenever I am facing the elephant, I think of that moment when, we had to work together with my mom to transform our own lives and to transform our community. And I want you to share your story of something that when you remember in this moment, you're like, this keeps me going.
So, okay, when you said childhood, that kind of got me. But if I could take a moment in time that was early in my career,
Yes.
as a human rights person, and I joined the staff of the city of Tacoma as like my first really big gig. And I was the Equal Employment Opportunity Officer there. And my job was to look through complaints of discrimination and, help implement the city's policies in that area, which were emerging at that time. But I know that I started my job there on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, and this was in, I'm going to say 1987-ish, 88. And it wasn't a holiday in the city of Tacoma at the time. It was a holiday in many other cities around the country, but not in Tacoma. And so as the equal opportunity officer, and I joined this, that was my first day of work, I'm saying, why isn't Tacoma doing this? What is going on? I lived in Lakewood, and I didn't really understand the deepest roots of racism that lived in the city of Tacoma. I didn't have a clue. And so I decided, that was my elephant at the time, if you will. That whole thing. Why don't we have this? Why aren't we celebrating? Why aren't we? And I asked my supervisor on that day, my first day of work, if I could create a celebration for the city of Tacoma. And it was, oh, by the way, yeah, just go ahead and do it. Well, I couldn't get any help. Do you understand? Everybody was not interested. And it was in my belly, in my soul, in my heart. I'm like, by hook or whatever, we're going to get us a Martin Luther King Jr. celebration in the city of Tacoma. Fast forward to this day. This is what, 2022? That celebration still lives on. That celebration still lives on, despite the fact that I couldn't get any help. I used all my resources. I called all my squirrel cousins. I called everybody to help me make this happen. And when we did it in the dome, we did it in the Tacoma Dome, and I'd asked them to set up for, I thought maybe 1,000 people would come. So I asked them to set up for 1,500 was my wildest dream. And I believe the newspaper reports from back in the day were like over 4,000 people came. And as I stood there on the stage looking out into the audience with all the people and remembering all of the pain and the frustration that I had to go through in order to make this happen, and literally, one or two folks by my side, because still people didn't believe, that has fueled me forward. That feeling of accomplishment, and to see all those people that are coming out to be fed and nourished around, celebrating Dr. King's memory, that hit me deep in my belly. So when I am faced with situations where it seems like it's impossible, I say that what got me through that was patience, was the support of my community, because my mom and dad and sister, back then that was my family nucleus, and I had someone to not keep everything inside that was happening to me, the trauma that was going on inside of my body as a result of what I was feeling. So there was community there to support, but it was that, oh gosh, I don't know that passion that rolled up in me, where I'm looking at this system, looking at these people saying, no, we're not going to do this, et cetera, et cetera. And then it's like, we're going to do this anyway for the good of the people. And it reminds me of Dr. King's quote, is that one of many quotes where he speaks on being able to serve for the masses of the people, not just individuals, so the masses of the people. So I feel like if you just keep, for me, that lesson was to stay focused. When your heart is pure on the journey, and it looks like you're not going to get through, you're not going to pass that elephant, then just stay patient, use your head, use your resources around you, and make it happen.
Wonderful. Yeah, that's amazing what you're able to accomplish in Tacoma, and if you have never been to Tacoma, the Tacoma Dome is like the icon of the city, similar to how the Space Needle is the icon for the city of Seattle, how the KICC is the icon for Nairobi. So you can picture that. You can picture that. I just want to appreciate our audience members. We have two audiences who are joining us today. We have a number of people on Clubhouse. Thank you so much. And we also have a number of people on YouTube who are joining us today. Thank you so much. And if you're just joining us, we are here with the incredible Melanie Cunningham, who is, you are a queen at many levels. You do so much for the community, but also your career in the education sector, specifically with PLU, currently as the Director of Multicultural Outreach and Engagement. One of the recent accomplishments was the creation of the African Communities Engagement Scholarship. And I feel that this is a battle similar to how you are able to bring the Martin Luther King celebration to the city of Tacoma. Just share with us your work, as the Director of Multicultural Outreach and Engagement, and also how you are able to birth the African Communities Engagement Scholarship. It's been a few years.
Yes. Okay. This is another elephant and squirrel. You picked an amazing proverb for your show today, Simon. So I started with PLU probably 16 years ago. Not probably, it was 16 years ago. And I started in the admission office. So by profession, I'm a recruiter. And I used to tell the person that was head of international recruitment, I would say to her all the time, listen, don't sleep on Africa, right? Don't sleep on Africa, because there are some really brilliant students on that continent. We should probably just kind of focus our attention over there and do some outreach. But the mindset of international recruitment was really focused on Asia. And so there was a lot of resources being directed there. China, you know what I'm saying? This lot of university resources. And so I just waited patiently, and we had a couple of directors change, and I changed positions from recruitment, and I moved to campus ministry, and I just kept asking. And then one time I was on my way to Ghana. I was going to Kenya and Ghana. And I went to the university international people, and I told them, I said, I'm going to Kenya and Ghana. I should probably just look around and see what's going on from the perspective of recruiting. And they were like, oh yeah, we have some agents. We have an agent we just hired there, so maybe you could go and take a look at them. And so I said I would. And then I get to Kenya, and I'm thinking, whoa, wow. I'm looking at the educational system that you have and the discipline and rigor within it that students they're pursuing through. And I think about the schools that I saw when I visited, and the schools that I visit in the United States. And there's a big difference there, I believe, with appreciation for education. I think that many of our U.S. kids have a lot of room to grow in their deepest understanding of the value of education, if that makes sense. And I'm thinking, okay, these students would gain if they were in a U.S. classroom, and we would gain in the U.S. classroom if these students were there. So how could I work on doing that? That became like my deepest mission. And coming back, I won't bore the audience, but this was another let's go through the back door situation instead of straight to the front. But what we have now is an infrastructure, a system that we've created to invite prospective students from the African continent, and we're focusing on Kenya and Ghana, and go down South Africa at this moment. And it's mainly because of the relationships that I hold in those countries, Simon being one of them in Kenya. And so we're starting our outreach efforts. The scholarship itself, we wanted to keep it super simple. So when you talk about money, just think of 60-40. Think of it that way. The university, your scholarship will be 60% of whatever the tuition is at the time, tuition and fees. That will be your scholarship as a student from the African continent. And your part to pay is 40% of the tuition. So whatever it is every year, if tuition rises, when you come in, it's a 60% scholarship from the university. You pay 40%, and then your tuition will stay the same the whole time that you're there at Pacific Lutheran University. Secondly, you'll live on campus the whole time that you're there, and I think that is a breath of fresh air for parents to know that their kids will be on campus and they'll be all right. That's something that we've heard from before. You'll be involved in a wonderful leadership cohort so that we make sure that we can keep our eyes on you the whole time that you're there, and that you have a wonderful experience and you graduate. So that is our eyes on retention, to make sure that you graduate. So there's a leadership cohort that as a part of your scholarship you will join. The experience is evolving, which I love, and being able to work with you, Simon, to make it really concrete in this pilot that we're working for this academic year. This coming academic year, I'm really excited about it. Birthing is just, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Many people who are probably going to listen to this podcast or watch it on YouTube do not understand the magnitude of the work that you are doing and the effort that we are doing collectively. This is not very similar, but it's exactly what the civil rights movement was doing earlier on in the early 60s, and even until the late 80s and into the early 90s. Tom Mboya, who was a well-known labor movement leader in Africa, who is from Kenya. If you look at the pictures of Martin Luther King Sidney Poitier. You'd see them with Tom Mboya looking for scholarships for African students here in the US and doing what used to be called African Students Airlift. Some of the African leaders you see now, including the President Obama. President Obama is a product of a scholarship. His father was amongst the first students to be brought to the US for a scholarship like what you're talking about, like what we are, like the African Communities Engagement Scholarship. Wangari Maathai, who is a Nobel Peace Laureate. And you also have an accolade as a something to do with the Nobel. Speak for a moment about that, and then also just speak to the magnitude of this opportunity, because I feel that you are continuing on with the work of people like Martin Luther King, Sidney Poitier, and Tom Mboya. Because this is something they started, but it's not being done the way that they were doing it. People lost the understanding of connecting Africans and African Americans, especially intellectually.
Mm-hmm. See, that's the powerhouse right there. We're connecting intellectually. And think about it now. If we're bringing students from Kenya, we're bringing students from Ghana, we're bringing students from South Africa, we'll bring students from Nigeria, as we grow. Now think about that. You'll convene to go to school on American soil. You're going to make your friends, your American friends, across community, right? And the students in America come from different communities and states. And so here we are in our leadership academy now. We'll have the UN. We'll have our own version of the UN. And then think about how now those students from Nigeria and Kenya, each of you all start to know each other. And now we're building global connections, the continental connections. And we all know that our success is rooted in who we know, right? Who we know, the people in our lives that we know, and the directions that they go and ascend. And if we all lift as we climb, then that's what happens. So the whole idea of, I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't think that I thought that deep about it, Simon, but the whole idea is to prepare us for our global elevation as Black people, right? Our global elevation. And it's our turn, it's our season. And so if we get this knowledge, we put the knowledge in our heads. Knowledge is power only when you use it. And we're working together. We found common ground, and everyone does their part when they go home. That's how I see progress is being made. And it's happening organically. So if you're listening to this podcast, if you're listening, I want you to go look us up, right? I want you to go look up Pacific Lutheran University in Tacoma, Washington, because right at the core of us too is diplomacy. Simon, we're teaching that the government relations and being foreign service officers, and how you get in and really delve into policy and foreign relations. And I mean, aside from that, we have that. That's at our core, but we're also making doctors and lawyers and nurses and accountants and teachers, and we're all across the globe in terms of all across the spectrum in terms of community building. So I feel like I'm making the Martin Luther King program again.
You are.
We've gotten through the adversity, And so the yes is there. And so we're on the move. I really feel like that. And this scholarship was named specifically communities engagement. Communities engagement, because we want to find you. Those of you who are listening, find us, and we want you to come and study with us through our program. And then we want you to go home, go back to your communities, and make all the difference that you can.
I just want to, there's a, while you, just before you respond to that, I just want to answer Kape. We have an audience member by the name of Kape who wants to know, the question is, by the way, Kape says, great talk from our speaker, and how do we access this scholarship? Is there a link? That's an excellent question. There are two. I'll give one answer, and then Miss Melanie is going to add to it. There's a lady in the audience on Clubhouse called Lavender. You should, send her a message. She has all the information. She'll be able to help you. And also, Miss Melanie, Lavender is joining us here. She's probably watching on YouTube, so she can't contribute on the Clubhouse stage. But in a moment, I want to just hear three audience members' perspectives before we go towards our closing. But continue on, please.
Yeah, you asked me about the Nobel Peace Prize, and I wanted to respond to that. Here in the community of Tacoma, we have an organization called the Greater Tacoma Peace Prize. And they had the Greater Tacoma Peace Prize Committee. And they scout around the community looking for people that are doing peace building work. And then they, you get nominated by random folks. I was nominated, and I won this for my lifetime achievement work in racial reconciliation. And my prize for winning the Peace Prize was to go to the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony in Oslo, Norway. And that was a life-changing event for me, because it was the year that Dr. Denis Mukwege from the Congo won for his work in reconstructing women after they've been abused in the war, women as sexual violence as weapons of war. And so Dr. Mukwege won. And so to be in the room with him and the Congolese people and, watching that happen just rededicated myself to purpose. And the citations in my nomination included the Martin Luther King program and the People's Gathering conference that I also host to help people talk about race. Yeah, I mean, I just been in the trenches serving all along, and I think that's my message is just keep serving.
You have, and also in the continent. Last year in 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, you helped us raise over $10,000 for 106 women in Kenya. And yes. This was done on short notice, and I just want to thank you for being a peace builder and for being a global, just a global humanitarian. It's just incredible the work that you're doing globally.
Simon, when I'm sitting here listening to you say that, I'm smiling, and then inside it's like, did I really do all of that? But it's when it's in your bones, like you. I'm iron sharpens iron. I'm looking at you. You're out there. You're working tirelessly for your community. We just do what we love, not for the accolades. And then you look back on your journey, and then you say, "Wow, okay, I see that."
Yeah.
But in the midst of it all, we're working for the people, and this is the opportunity to chat with you and your audience today is so heartwarming, to talk about this African Communities Engagement Scholarship specifically, because we need to make this move. Young people that are listening, I need you to contact Lavender. You say lavender. Lavender.
You say it
I
the
have
right
to,
way. You say it the right way. You know, I didn't grow up with the lavender plant everywhere. So I didn't even we just call her lavender. I didn't know that there was a flower called lavender until I
yes.
moved to the Pacific Northwest, you know.
Yes, I've got them in my yard. They're just about to bloom right now. So yeah, lavender is our everything for this scholarship in Kenya, and so I really need you to get with her and chat about it because I'd love to see you on campus. And the beautiful thing is that when you do come to campus on this scholarship, you come to me. I will be your scholarship supervisor, for the 4 years that you're there, and we get a chance to work together. I get to hear all your good, bad, and ugly and help you figure stuff out. That I'm so excited to meet you. So please, please, please just check in with Lavender and I'll see you all in the process, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, Miss Melanie. Before you go, I just want to give a chance to three people just to make a few comments here and also share their perspectives. And really, I want you to make sure you check in with Lavender. She's in the audience on Clubhouse and also across all One Vibe Africa social media platforms. We started promoting this amazing scholarship opportunity today. I woke up this morning and Stella, who is also in the audience, who is helping run all, One Vibe, media and One Vibe Africa social media platforms. She and Lavender were just busy pushing this. So you'll be able to see amazing, pictures of, some of the amazing students that are already at PLU. But we want kids from your community to be a part of this. So connect with me if you have any other questions. But for now, just quickly, Mamayama, what are your thoughts briefly? And then we'll hear from Stella and then Joseph. Just share with us, what you think about today's proverb, the conversation I'm having with the incredible Miss Melanie Cunningham, and also where you're joining us from. Thank you so much. Mamayama?
Oh, thank you so much. Um, could you hear me?
Oh, I hear you very well. Yeah, keep
Okay.
going.
Okay. Hello, Brother Simon, and everyone in the room now. So, our speaker, very, very important talk about education between the Afro people. I am Mamayama. I am a Brazilian from Rio de Janeiro, but for some years live in Ecuador. Ecuador is a small country and a beautiful country also in the middle of the America continent. But this proverb, I was thinking, the brother Simon make me think about think too much, and I was just think about the squirrel does not respond to the elephant. Um, Brother, your explanation of this proverb make me think that we must have enough wisdom that we collect in the different situations and circumstances that we experience every day, and the apparent battles that we have to overcome during our lifetime is our great book to leave behind for the benefit of society. Mm, it's also reminded me that um, in the center of the Rio de Janeiro, there is a such beautiful park full of squirrels. And my mom always says that she like very much to stay there, sit there, and see all the squirrels that was there, um, eat their nuts. And And she said that they never care about all the movement of the thousands of people who uh, who were in the park and all the movements of the city. And she said, I remember that she said that the human beings um, need to um, let me see the words. Yeah, the human beings should be like this, to be focused on their development and not to worry about situation that sometimes seem as big as an elephant. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you very much for this space, and may everyone have a new week full of success with the blessings and love of Jah. Ashe.
Ashe,
Thank you.
Ashe,
And continue.
Ashe. Thank you. Thank you. And my dear Miss Melanie, I want to give you a chance in a moment to respond to all the three speakers, just to say a few words in closing. Now let's go to Stella. Stella, share with us where you're joining us from, and also your thoughts on the proverb and any comments on my conversation with Miss Melanie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon. It's evening here, so good evening, everyone. Good morning. Joining from Kenya. It's a beautiful evening over here. It's been raining. I think it has just stopped a few minutes ago. So today's proverb about the squirrel and the elephant is just a beautiful one. It just shows how the elephant is too big and the squirrel is too small, and just with one step the elephant can finish the squirrel. But anyway, that's how I'm looking at it and the literal meaning. But if you look at the topic we are looking at today about choosing your battles wisely, and if I look at the scholarship that you've been talking about with Miss Melanie, uh, sometimes you really have to decide. You really have to decide which battle do you want to fight. If you have to look at where you're coming from, what you want, where you're going, where you are, and you just decide, what do I want to pursue, and what change will it make in my life. So that is how the squirrel would look at it. In order for the squirrel to survive, you have to decide, do I want to talk back at the elephant? Do I want to look at the big things that are ahead of me? Or is there a way that I can achieve the dreams I have? So you decide and you choose what you really want, and then you go for it. Otherwise, thank you very much, and enjoy your morning, your evening, wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. I appreciate you, and keep up the great work. Enjoy the rain. Plant something during this rainy season. Joseph, thank you. Of course, Stella. Joseph, how are you doing? Where are you joining us from today? I know you are a traveler. And what do you think about the proverb and my conversation with Miss Melanie? Thank you very much for being here.
Jambo Simon, habari?
Mzuri sana.
Niko nyumbani bwana, niko Namibia. I'm in Namibia. Bon tarde mai.
How should I respond to that? we need to bring Miss Melanie to Namibia next.
Oh, I've been to Namibia.
Just greeting her in Portuguese, just to say good afternoon.
Okay.
Simon, I'm back home. I'm back in Namibia, so I have like a week to be off before heading back to Botswana, Zimbabwe, and Zambia again for another exceptional travels for about 14 days. But before that, it's just chilling here at home and all those kind of things. Just to be back at our daily proverbs today, the squirrel does not talk back to elephants. Simon, as a tour guide, these are some of the stories that we normally share with the clients, just to pull up the vibe within the groups and all those kind of things, and try to tell them that sometimes it's not size matter, but at the same time, sometimes it's not about that size matter, because there's also an essay that an ants, it can be smaller, but it can make an elephant fall. But in these terms, it's a squirrel that is always, it has to remember its position. It has to know basically, where do I stand? Do I stand where my fellows can be able to stand, or do I have to stand tall in order to meet the other people? Size, actually, on the elephant size with the squirrels, you can see it's just 1 feet, and then you squeeze it. And for me, translating this also, it's just tell us that your hand can be able to reach where you can be able to reach, and don't force yourself to reach where you don't have the hand to reach, because if you try to reach that far, you might sometimes end up being burned, sometimes being caught up with something that you don't want to be caught up with. So reach, or do things that is in your reach. Don't try to impress other people by saying, because I'm smaller, and then I can be able to tackle the big one, just so that I can be able to impress the rest of the people. So it's actually telling us, don't impress other people, but stay in your own lane, stay in your own capacity, stay in your own capability, and stay in your own reach. Because if you can be able to reach in that capacity that you think you can be able to reach, why not? You will have a better life, and you'll be able to move on. Simon, the exciting news, remember, part and parcel of the group on that one, Travel Africa. And this is such a marvelous news. And I've been sharing it in Namibia as many as I can, and try to see as much responsive that we can be able to get toward this, because this is having someone doing this. This is a blessing, on the sky, and people like this should be able to be appreciated. And I'm sure the lady on the other side of this mic, she's listening, and we appreciate and we value what basically you have done. And without you, we couldn't be able to get some of the brothers and sisters to study in the state and become somebody. So for me, I appreciate you personally, and I've get a lot of requests from Namibia, and I hope Namibians will be given a chance to qualify for the scholarship. So this is a wonderful, wonderful news, and I wish I was young and I could apply myself. This is Joseph speaking. I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Joseph. Yeah, I wish I was young too. I'm telling you, I remember how my oldest sister, who is in the UK currently, when she got a scholarship in the UK to study, we did fundraisers in my hometown in Kisumu. We roasted groundnuts and packaged it in small plastic bags, and we invited friends and family, and we gathered at her high school together with her high school colleagues, her teachers. Surprisingly, we were able to raise enough for her to travel, and part of the school fee was covered. And before we knew it, she was in the UK, and now she's a mother, she's a leader, and she's just so accomplished. And she was one of the fact that she was able to get that kind of education made my mother so proud. And just like you're saying, to Miss Melanie, I'm also personally very, very grateful to you, because there are many people who work in institutions like Pacific Lutheran University, like you, who just go there, they work, they get their money, and they leave until the end of their career, and they don't take risks to create something like what you have been fighting for on behalf of African youth. And you've decided to take your time to help develop something really, really special. So I just want to appreciate you as well. But I want you to comment on some of the things that Mamayama and Stella and Joseph said. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm just breathing right now. I'm taking it all in, and thank you everyone for your kind comments. I want to respond directly to Joseph, though. Joseph, PLU has history in Namibia. And I want you to know about it, because I think when Namibia, it was 95 when you gained your independence from South Africa. And it was at that time when the Lutheran Church collaborated with the government of Namibia and paid for 100 students to come to the United States and study, with the idea that they would go back to Namibia and lead in this new government. And so Pacific Lutheran University got 9 of those students. We got 9 students of that 100 from back in the 90s. And that vision at the time has been realized, because those 9 students are executives in different industries inside of Namibia at this time. And so we also have, with our School of Education and the University of Namibia, we have a collaboration. So I've seen what this kind of collaboration can do, and I was inspired by that to create this scholarship for the continent. So yes, send us the Namibian students. We have all love in our hearts for Namibia. We've been in the community for a long time, and I've been to Namibia a couple times. Love it. Let me just say, every country on the continent that I've been, I love. But yeah, let's bond together, friends. As I'm thinking about it, we don't have to see ourselves as the squirrel. We can be the elephant, you know. And if we look at ourselves in a collective way, we can be the elephant, and that will represent a new system. And that's what drives me, is that I want people of African descent, which is all of us, but people living on the continent, the young people, I want you to have a U.S. experience. I really do. And many of you all dream of that. But also for you coming to the U.S., I want you to also learn how beautiful your experience at home is. Okay, so we give so much to the United States. I mean, every country I travel to on the African continent, they just see the United States as the place to be. I mean, you really, really want to be there and stay here. And I am just the opposite. I'm trying to find my spot in Ghana or Kenya or Namibia. I'm trying to find my place on the African continent to go back to. So everything is not rosy here. I don't want you young people to think that this is what it is. Don't look at America as the savior. I want to get that out of your head, but I do want you to experience it so that you can go home and lead. That's what I want you to come here with the idea that you're going home so that you can lead and uplift and rebuild your community. That is, or invest in your community. That is the engagement part. And then also long-term, it's that global alliance that we're creating relationships with one another, that together we're better and stronger. And so, yeah, please, let's do this. It was a dream, but now I'm on YouTube with Simon talking about it.
Exactly.
So let's make it happen.
Exactly. Yeah, I've personally been working with about 2 students directly in Kenya, and I've moved from just dreaming about it, but I know that when they're here in the US, I will also be one of the African leaders that will be holding them accountable. So, yes, all the students who come here through this scholarship, I will be personally on your case to make sure you graduate, and also make sure you contribute to the African community here in the US. We have a growing community here. We have African leaders being elected to positions of power, political positions. We have business owners. So you won't be alone. You will have a big community of people that you will learn from, so that when you go back home, you don't even have to look for a network. You have a network that can support your vision in whatever field that you choose to go to. So, Miss Melanie, thank you again so much. Lavender, thank you for all the work that you're doing on this scholarship. And to all the amazing guests on YouTube, I want to first give a big shout out to Fred. Fred is an amazing supporter of One Vibe Africa. And just a few days ago, he sent a second shipment of, recording equipment that I'll be sending to One Vibe Studio in Kenya. And I also see the wonderful M. Jewel. Thank you for your continued support. If you joined us on YouTube, please remember to subscribe, push the thumbs up button so that when we are live, you can catch us. But remember that in April, I will be on vacation, so I will not be live streaming, but we've planned amazing blogs that will be sharing stories of the last 2 years of the Daily African Proverbs. We'll be bringing all of it back to you through blogs. And so, stay tuned. This week we'll be sharing how you can access, the Raise Your Consciousness blog that is coming up shortly. With that, again, thank you, Miss Melanie, and to all our audiences on Clubhouse, thank you so much. It's been a beautiful one. Have a beautiful day, Miss Melanie, and I'll be talking to you in just a moment. Thank you so much.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.